do nothing. There it is. Howdy, howdy. Howdy, howdy. I think we're live.
Went live.
We're not. We ought to be. Good morning, Francisco. How are you, buddy? If you're hearing me. I can't tell over here. I ain't showing up yet. There I am. There I am. Oh, I bet I can turn my... Yeah, but I bet that'll drive me nuts. Yep, hang on a minute. Let me take this thing out of my ear.
Well, buddy, it's a short.
I was listening to something else. I can hear better with that in than I can. My speakers are too much bass or something. My computer speakers, I can't hear shit. Oops, I can't hear anything. Oh, happy New Year and happy Saturday morning there, Francisco, and same to you, my friend. Did you have a exciting happy New Year's Day or New Year's whatever? You, I mean.
Me?
Yeah.
No.
No.
Not at all.
Well, me neither, so.
Yeah, it was quiet. We watched football.
Yeah, well, I saw one of the New Year's Day games just last night. Good morning, Jason Thibodeau. I believe it was one of the better games I've seen lately. And even though I didn't like how it came out, it was still a good game. That was Mississippi State and Georgia. Good morning, Carol. How are you, my friend? Happy New Year to you, too.
Which game was it?
Georgia and Mississippi State. Not Mississippi State. Ole Miss and Georgia.
My son-in-law was going nuts.
I'm sure he was. Well, best thing that ever happened to them was Kiffin went somewhere else to coach. So I didn't feel so bad about them winning. But man, what a game.
And yeah, because all the other games were blowouts, and that one was
tight.
That one was worth watching.
Well, they won. Ole Miss won in the last 10 seconds with a 40-yard field goal or something. Man, that kicker they got's lights out. He was kicking 50-something yards. He kicked 2 over 55 yards last night, I think.
Yeah, it was a new Sugar Bowl record he got 55, and that was a new record, and then he got 56 right after that.
Yeah, so. If you look, they went plumb back into the net behind the goalpost. That could have gone another 10, 15, maybe 20 yards. He's got a cannon for a leg. I'm sure his mother loves to hear that. They say my son's got a cannon for a leg.
It was the whole thing at the end there was nuts, but
yeah, it was nuts. I knew when Georgia didn't score a touchdown and tied it up. I knew then it was over because all they had to do was get downfield a little bit and let that guy kick, and they were going to win, and they did. So, but man, both those quarterbacks had streaks. That quarterback for Ole Miss, he was hot last night. He went 13 or 14 passes in a row without missing one there in the third quarter, I think. And anyway, it was a pretty good ball game. What was it?
The last 30 seconds of the game I was like, this is crazy.
I think I just got something from John. I don't know who all's on here, but he just sent me this. He'll be here. I'm sure he'll share it with he's a new grandpa.
Oh, cool.
I knew I heard him tell somebody the other day, or somebody was talking. They were talking in another chat, and I didn't realize he was expecting one. He probably told me, but my new grandson, born 1/1, oh, he was born the 1st, 2026, January 1. They should name him football or something. Okay, congratulations, John.
Yeah, that's cool. Mine is one of my grandsons is going to be fishing today, so.
Oh yeah, with you or
The
somebody?
younger one.
Hey, Dean. Good morning. The live plays, Dean with the live places that joined us this morning. And there's Maple Bacon,
Holy buckets.
Chuck McNeil, Jason Thibodeau, Francisco, Carol Carkey. Carol, what's the weather like near you in Detroit today, or in that part of Michigan? I talked to Kent Maiden this week, Mark, and he said it'd been kind of chilly and snowy in northern Indiana where he lives.
Well, mom and dad were colder than we were, and
Yeah, I believe that.
snowy.
All right, Mike, roll them out, buddy. He's supposed to have donuts for everybody this morning. I saw him say it. So, now, what do you mean? Did you get my donuts? I knew it. I knew you weren't gonna have the donuts. I just knew it. He sent me some kind of a little YouTube thing, or a little video where somebody was talking about throwing donuts at your boss because you were late. Traffic was bad and you were going to be late for work, and they were already fussing. They said, stop, get a dozen donuts, and then just go throw them at them when you get there. And Mike said, no way was he going to throw donuts at anybody. He just didn't do that. And he wasn't going to waste a donut. I brought you. What do you mean you brought me some? What are you? Check the box. I bet there's nothing left but crumbs. Actually, if I got up, well, I didn't really sleep any last night, so I was out here about 6 o'clock this morning working on finishing up my little show, what I put together for today, and I meant to go get donuts, and I forgot all about it. Tim, thank you, and Brennan. Oh, you're welcome, Carol. Most welcome. And the fabulous Teddy. Well, he'll appreciate that. Hey, Amy, welcome in. AJC Magic TV has joined us. Good morning. I feel the urge to work up a trivia game and ask questions. Amy plays trivia on her website up during the week, and sometimes I'm okay, and sometimes I really suck. I've decided that, unlike you, well, maybe it's not. Maybe these movies you wouldn't get. When it comes to movie trivia or something like that, I'm just not any good. Your coworker was laughing at you about donuts. Oh, I actually went to pick up donuts for the guys one morning, and I almost got into a fight inside the donut shop with a man. I thought, oh, okay. Here he was, airboxing long. My coworker was in the car and laughing at him. Mike, you got to be careful about that, buddy. Tina McNeil has joined us. Happy New Year to you.
I'm going to step away a minute. I got a dog that needs fed. He's going to drive me crazy. I'm trying to let Mama sleep, and
we'll go take care of that then.
I'll be right back.
I have a story to tell you about dogs. Chuck, I don't know if you were paying attention. Mike supposedly brought donuts, but I've not seen one yet. Welcome in, Grandpa. In case you guys didn't see the picture a few minutes ago, John, Surf Bum John, is the new granddad. Or I don't know, John, is that your first one, or you have more than one grandchildren now? For some reason, I'm thinking that's your first, but I'm not positive. No donuts on Chuck's end. Yeah, Mike, I think we're going to have to hear some more of that story. Well, the U.S., yeah, I just saw that. They're blowing hell out of, pardon me, Venezuela, apparently. That's about all I'm going to say about that right now. But here is John's brand new grandson. Well, he's 3 days old now, or 2. Okay, he was born on the 1st, so he'd be 3 days old, right? So, you know, if the shine and the news all wore off, John, you can send them back if it's within 7 days. At least that's what they told me. I have frozen my chat. Hang on a minute. How did I do that? Okay, now I'm fixed. Oh, wait, but it's not yours. You don't have to worry about that, though, John. It's going to be somebody else's issue. Hey, Diana, welcome in. Good morning. Would you clarify if Mike did or did not bring the donuts? I trust you. I'm not sure I trust him. And Happy New Year to Canada. I started to turn around. I was looking at that thing on Mark's wall that at tapestry or whatever is hanging. And I started to turn around and look at it, but I thought it was behind me. No, I'm not right this morning. Mike ate the donuts. Mike. That does seem to be the thing. I mean, every time he says he's bringing donuts, all we get's a box of crumbs. I'm sure I'm not the only one that's noticed that.
I have returned.
You have returned. I was going to tell you a little dog story. I would talk to Kent Maiden this week. I was telling you we talked about weather and stuff. And he's got a little dog. And I'm not sure how he ended up with a little dog, but he's got a little Chihuahua dog named Poco. And I was on the phone with him, and Poco just took off having a fit. I mean, man, was he upset and loud and carrying on. And I said, "Oh, sounds to me like somebody's in the house." And he said, "No, he either wants to go outside or he wants to eat." And he said, "Usually I can tell the difference." But I told him this sort, and then I had to tell him about your wolf dog, your Wolfie gang.
He's the one that was aggravating me just now. He gets loud. Hank went out last night and caught a big old porcupine in the yard.
Oh, no. Did he get nailed?
Oh, yeah.
Of course.
Yeah, so I had to give him some medicine this morning. He was moaning and groaning and carrying on. And
you already pulled him out?
Yeah. I think I got all of them.
I have to admit, I'm kind of glad I don't have to worry about that. Even though I don't have a dog right now, that's some serious stuff there.
Well, when they certain breeds just look like they roll in them.
Yeah, that's true too.
You can't even see their head anymore.
But
PG pit bulls.
Well, and they just look like they stick their whole face in there and just go blah, 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 and just get them all absolutely all up in their nose and their mouth and their eyeballs. I mean, when I've seen them, mostly on TV when they've done it. I mean, they must spend hours pulling them things out because it's not that easy to pull out. I mean, it takes a minute or two to get them. I mean, that just looks like that's an all-day job. And of course, they never learn. They just keep going back for more. Uh-oh. Mike, do you guys ever have porcupine wander into your backyard? I've got something in my eye this morning. Kind of bugging me. Oh, excuse me. I didn't get much sleep last night. He go up there and wake her up anyway? Oh, he must have. No porcupines in South Louisiana. No, Jason, that's a good thing. You don't have to worry about them. You got other things to worry about down there, but no porcupines. You got to worry about gators getting your dogs, maybe, or a cottonmouth. Although I don't know if dogs got enough sense to leave a cottonmouth alone or not. Hunting dogs get bit by copperheads and rattlesnakes down here every once in a while. I think Tina knows about that. Well, I don't think. I know she does. At least I believe that's the correct diagnosis anyway. I think that's what they determined anyway. Her dog Danny lost a leg over that. It got septic. Septic? Am I saying that right? No porkies, raccoons, skunks, and the occasional deer. I'm surprised. I'm surprised, Diane, that you don't get a porcupine wandering through. That you don't get a porcupine wandering through your neighborhood once in a while. So, John's everybody still doing good? Mother and baby and and how's grandma doing? That's the important stuff. You think so? I didn't think I keep hearing more and more stories about porcupines wandering into places that I never thought they'd be. But I'm sure that does curtail them. But I'm certain you've got them up there. They just stay outside the city limits, perhaps. Yeah, I'll take a trip to the vet for porcupine quills over snake bite any day. I bet you would. Do you guys have porcupines, Tina, that wander down into your neck of New York, or they don't come down into there either?
They go clear to West Virginia now.
Yeah, well, that's crazy.
New York's eat up with them.
They'll be down here next thing you know.
Well, we had them in New Mexico.
I never thought they got that far south.
They're in North Texas, New Mexico, parts of Arizona.
Maybe my eyes are just tired. Maybe it's not something in them. Maybe I've been rubbing them too much. The Chuck says they have, but no, so far they haven't had any close to the house. Them, that'd be good. You don't need them in that regard. I mean, they're a neat critter, but they are not to be messed with unless you want to do big quill work.
Well, they're not. I mean, they're almost defenseless except for their quills. So
yeah, except for that.
And they only have one young a year.
Yeah. So, I didn't realize that either. I wonder if that's got anything to do with the quill thing and if that somehow affects their reproductive rate. I can see how it might. I can see how
they're totally. They just have like hair when they're born. They don't have quills.
That's good. That would be painful.
Yeah, but we have several this year, so
that makes but one a year that slows down any recovery effort, or you'd think expansion efforts. That's just not very
right. Seems like they're doing okay.
Do what?
Seems like they're doing okay.
Well, yeah, it sounds like they are. Especially if they keep migrating further south. If they're all the way in West Virginia, I'm surprised we don't have them here. I bet they're in Kentucky. If they've come down into there, I bet they're in Kentucky too, at least the northern part.
Well, we were on our way to Fort Frederick, Maryland, and saw one there in not too far from Morgantown, east of Morgantown, West Virginia.
Okay, well, I know they've got plenty of them in the UP. They've got them in the other part of the mitten too, because that's where Dr. Pole's at, and he was all the time having to pull them out of dogs' faces.
Yeah, they're thick as thieves in Michigan.
I'd say so. Oh. So what's your weather like today? I asked Carol, but I didn't ask you how warm is it in your house? Not in your house, at your house.
I don't know what the temperature is. Hold on.
I think we were back up in the 40s this morning when I got up, but we had gotten up to the 70s and then back to the 20s and back up to the 50s. And so what you got?
25, and the sky's black, like.
So you
here it comes again.
Here it comes again. You got snow on the ground?
No, not much. I mean, some drifts and things left, but we warmed up toward the end of the week, and
well, we warmed up, and then we cooled down again. Then we warmed back up, and it's just been like this for the last week. And this morning it was, I think, 43 when I left the house, and it'll probably be in the 60s or 70s today, and then tomorrow it may be icy cold. I kind of figured you might have meant rare. Danny's got Tina spinning round and round. She's in rare form today. He's in rare form, excuse me. Oh, yes. For the longest time, I thought Danny was a she, but Danny's a he and the other one's a she, right, Tina? I'm sure she'll square me away on that in a minute. Oh, where's the poem? I had another poem I was going to read for New Year's. I might do that yet. I haven't read that yet. Or by Robert Service. The Trapper's Christmas Eve.
You already read that.
I have?
Yeah. I think.
I couldn't remember if I had or not. I was looking at it again. Maybe I did.
Last show, as I recall. Maybe not.
I'll have to. There's my wife. Good morning, Brenda Pruitt.
Good morning, Miss Brenda.
Miss Brenda's been kind of under the weather for the last few days. I hope she starts feeling better soon. If she don't, I'm gonna haul her off to the vet. Well, that's what I was just checking, Tina. This morning, she got up when I was bouncing around the house about 5 o'clock or 5:30 or something, and she went back to bed. And I don't know if she was feeling better this morning or not. She's had trouble keeping anything on her stomach. She gets to feeling better and she eats a little bit of something and it comes right back up. And she can tell you if anything else. I don't know, but she hadn't had a fever. She hasn't, there's not been a whole lot of anything else going on. And I don't know. It's weird. I sent a note to my doctor yesterday asking her if there had been anything going around Knoxville, and I hadn't heard back, so she's probably busy. But we're listening and reading, Amy. I was going to go ahead and pull up my stuff. While I was sitting here, while I ponder. Share that screen. Share that big, beautiful bean footage. There it is. So I just found me a Happy New Year guy and stuck him on there today. But I've got some things. I made a list. Well, Mark's gone. I can tell you guys. I made a list of things that happened in history today. And I expounded upon them slightly. I used to have a teacher, I think in 7th grade, and he would always say, when he would give us an assignment, he was always saying, I expect you to expound upon that in your answer. He loved to say expound. Everything was expound. So I expounded a little bit today. and I got some stuff. Probably some of it's trivial and nobody will care but me, and maybe I won't either. But what did Brenda say? I'm beginning to feel a whole lot better. Thank you. Was it your dad always said but he's the one you say I feel a whole lot better than I did. I feel a lot better today than I did just, I don't know. He had somebody saying that. I think it was your dad. I could be wrong about that. I think Mark's got dogs running him wild this morning. His aren't all big as hounds. Oh, well, most of them are. Tina, I started to say his dogs aren't as big as yours, but they're not hounds, which it makes a little difference. but they've got such a variety. They all have different needs. Oh, wait till he gets there. He is.
I'm having a morning.
You are.
We got two dogs missing now.
Oh no.
Oh yeah. I'm sure they went to town.
The usual suspects.
Yep.
Well, rats.
One of them was up half the night, hurting. I'm surprised he.
Hank?
Yeah, I'm surprised he took off.
What's he hurting from?
Porcupine.
Oh. Yes. Well, maybe he went to show off his new scars.
Yeah, he's being a knucklehead.
Those many pork. Again,
but I mean, I had 6 dogs in the yard all at one time. It could have been way worse.
Well, that's right. It could have been. What do you do? Do you collect those porkies and take them outside your fence, or you just let them wander off and try to keep the dogs away from them?
Both.
Both.
Sometimes I've caught them and moved them, but mostly just don't worry about them too much. But
he said he's gone back looking for more.
Yeah, he won't enjoy that. I'm sure he went to town.
You want me to go look for him?
No, I'll go look for him in a while.
Who's he take with him usually? Gigi?
He's not the culprit. My Visla is the culprit.
Yeah,
she takes him with her. So my female border collie came in, but the other 2 are MIA.
You would think, as much as that's got to hurt, that they would learn to leave a porky alone, but they just don't seem to.
Yeah, it makes them mad.
I guess that's what it is. They get mad.
Really, they just get worse and worse and worse.
They go back for revenge, I guess.
But it's based on the size of the quills. It's a small one. We had a male and a female living here in the yard, and it's probably her. And she came out on the top.
And you could teach him how to flip them over, then maybe he could get hold of them on their bellies, and he wouldn't have to worry about that. When they've got smaller quills, like a female or a young one, are they harder to get out than they are when they're larger?
Yeah,
that's what I figured. They're probably harder to find and more likely.
He had them in his mouth and all down one whole side of his head, and I will guarantee you, Tina, he'd go back for more.
Danny
some dogs just, I don't know. My female has never had a quill, but
really? Penny is she don't?
Oh no, she's had them because she's the one that had them in her mouth when somewhere in the extraction process, Sammy was holding her down, and it was just a little porcupine, and one of those quills got in Sam's jaw. Worked its way clear up into almost into his sinus.
And that's what I don't know. We've talked about this before. I don't know if everybody knows this, but if you don't get, that's what's bad. If you don't get that barb out, the tip, it'll migrate through their body or your body, for that matter, and can get to harmful places. and do some real damage if you don't get them out. How long did that process of Sammy getting one in his jaw and it migrating up to his wherever you said it ended? How long
I
that?
don't remember how long was that between when Sam got the quill in his face and he ended up getting it cut out or whatever.
About a week, but then he had to go in every day for another week or two.
Yeah, so it was about a week before it blew up, and then they opened his chin up, and he had to keep it open and packed, and
Yeah.
it was quite the deal.
Oh
He
man.
just thought he had an infected hair in his beard, and
Yeah.
they ended up shaving his beard off and
Oh, poor.
working on his face for a long time. So
That's that's just rough. So I just put together a list today. I thought I'd talk about something. I didn't want. I didn't. I'm still. It's still the holidays, and we got a good crowd here today. I wasn't sure how many people might be here, so I just kind of threw together what happened today, and it's kind of a mixed bag. I think you'll wonder what somebody's going to say, why did he do that? Why did he pick that? Well, it's just the things that struck me as I went down the list, and there was a long list. A couple of them will hit home, though. A couple of them are pretty good ones. Anyway, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and leave a comment. And that's enough homework for today. So, on this date, according to history, in 1496, on January the 3rd, these are important or curious events that happened on January the 3rd. You can be the judge. But Leonardo da Vinci unsuccessfully tested one of his flying machines. He called it the Grand, and I'll say this wrong, Grande Nibbio, which apparently, if I said it right, was supposed to mean the Great Kite. And this was the one that's in that picture. It's the one that looked like bat wings. Most of he drew some really interesting things in his life. He made a lot of drawings of gliders and things that most people looked at them in recent history as we learned to fly and said, hey, that would have worked. But his problem was he tried to make them powered, and you just couldn't do that. Like this one, the reason most people thought if he put this one together as a hang glider, it probably would have worked, but he tried to make it work like a bird. He tried to get it to where the guy in it could flap, and that just never has worked. We just don't. There's just not enough energy for that. At least I know there's a guy I know somebody has gotten an airplane off the ground by pedaling it now, because we've got enough lightweight materials out there that you can actually build a small airplane with a really long wing, and it just weighs almost nothing, or comparatively speaking. And there has been people that have flown something like that. But I'm sorry I haven't said hi to everyone. I've been wrangling. Oh, that's okay. We understand, Tina. And anyway, so he had a guy flying that airplane, and I thought I had that guy's name. They actually have the name recorded, but it didn't work. It didn't get off the ground, or it crashed, and that was pretty much. I don't know if he ever tried to fly another one, but they didn't have enough lightweight material like aluminum, for example, and nothing to power his flying machines with, and so they never worked. But a lot of them look like they could have worked, which I think is just amazing. I mean, that guy was pretty smart. He invented or drew a lot of really cool things.
it looks like one of those. I don't even know what they call it. They've got those suits they wear now that like they parachute out of. They're not parachuting. They're actually just diving out of an airplane and
Oh, yeah, they call them different things, but I
But they
have
look like that.
bat wing suit, and I've heard them called something else. And that part of that would probably scare the crap out of me, but it looks amazing. That's about as close as we're ever going to get to flying, I think, as a human. And you're not flying, you're just falling gracefully and fast.
You're like a flying squirrel instead of
Like
a
a flying squirrel,
bird.
yeah. But man, they get up to some really fast speeds. Well, they get up to at least 120 miles an hour, and sometimes they're just, this far away from the ground or a cliff face. And it's amazing some of the things they do now in those suits. And it's fascinating. I think as a younger man, I might have thought I might try something like that, but I doubt it. I always wanted to parachute, and I never did get to, and then I got to where I didn't want to anymore. So I guess that's just as well. So that was one thing I learned about January the 3rd. Let's see what I learned next. Oh, 1777. I thought that was kind of apropos since this is the 250th birthday of the country this year. This January 3rd marks the day of George Washington's victory at Princeton, which sort of marked the end of his winter campaign, if you will, against the Brits and the Hessians when he attacked Trenton on Christmas Day, and then had a few other skirmishes, but then had a final battle on the 3rd and beat the guy in this picture. I think I have another photo, not a photo, but a painting. Let's see here. Let me read it. This was ended the winter campaign, which nobody ever did back then. When it got cold and it started snowing, you went to camp or went somewhere and got by a warm fire, which the Americans rarely ever had. But you just hold up for the winter because it was just too much. You just didn't fight wars in the winter. And so he surprised them, and that helped a whole lot. It really boosted him around. I thought this was kind of a nice painting by James Peale, who did this in 1782. And that was Washington's headquarters flag. That one behind him, that's just stars on a blue field, no stripes or anything on it.
That sky is the same exact color as my sky right now.
Oh, no. That's not good. That don't look good then. Oh, that's the last one I got for that. But let's see here. Did I make any notes? Oh, I'm clicking the wrong thing. Oh, boy, I tell you what. Sometimes I'm just not too bright. Well, maybe I closed it. Yeah. Oh, there it was. Yeah, I'd hit it. And then I couldn't find it. As usual.
Because it's in your notes.
Because it's in my notes. Well, I don't know that I actually have any notes on this particular subject, but I thought I ought to look because I might have, because I did make some dubious notes on some things. There it is, but I didn't make anything on this one. Let's see if I did. Let me back up a page real quick. Nope, nothing extra. Just a map and some paintings because of course back then we didn't have the benefit of a camera. So we didn't get a lot of records of that sort of thing. Now, the next one, we did have a camera because this happened. This lady, Lucretia Mott, was born on this date in 1793. 1793. She lived to be fairly old. She lived to 1880. She was an American Quaker, an abolitionist, women's rights activist, and a social reformer. She had formed the idea of reforming the position of women in society when she was amongst the women excluded from the World Anti-Slavery Convention, which was held in London in 1840. Women didn't get a lot of respect back then. 1848, she was invited by Jane Hunt to a meeting that led to the first public gathering about women's rights, which was in Seneca Falls, and that is a picture of her in the middle, and you can tell by looking that that's a fairly old picture. I mean, she's fairly old by the time they actually took a photograph, but that's a real photograph. And there was also a stamp made with her on it, her and Carrie C. Cat. I thought that name was different. Elizabeth Cady Stanton. They were all the original, some of the original three to form some of the first women's rights groups and suffragette movement in America. Had a lot to do with them, and they were really active in the the freeing the slaves and that sort of thing. That stamp came out in 1948. And it was a commemorative stamp at that time. There sure are a lot more color and prettier today than they were back then. And it was titled 100 Years of Progress of Women, 1848 to 1948. I think some would say they hadn't really got going good yet in some cases. And then there's a couple of other monuments and things that have been built in their favor. This one, that top one was done by Lloyd Lilly, the first wave statues of the Women's Rights National Park Visitor Center. On the far left is Elizabeth Cady Stanton and Frederick Douglass with Lucretia Mott and James Mott. He's not visible, but he's behind them there somewhere in the crowd. Some of the rest of them they don't know. And then the bottom right is the portrait that was taken of the original Philadelphia anti-slavery group, which she was a member of. She's right there on the front row. And then the other one, this stone one, is in Philadelphia. It was again commemorating the Pennsylvania Anti-Slavery Society, which was created in 1851. So they were all very active in those kinds of political arenas. Then, and this one I like. This one is while I'm not an architect, and New York's not always been someplace I could see myself being, but I've seen some stuff. I've read and seen things about what all they went through to build this bridge. The 1870 on January 3rd, construction began for the Brooklyn Bridge in New York. And when they built this bridge, it was a huge deal and a major step forward in architecture and building suspension bridges. And it took them 13 years to build it. I know a lot of that. Two things had to happen. One was they had to figure out how to put men down under the water, the river, at depths that gave them the bends, which was a real problem. And they had to figure out how to do that a little safer. And then they also had to figure out how to wind that wire to make those cables to suspend that bridge. And most of those cables were built in situ. They started up with a small strand and they wound. I've seen that machine that would go back and forth over that span, and they'd build those cables up. And they did all that first, and then they would hang the roadway and stuff from those cables. It's fascinating. It did the Golden Gate Bridge the same way. And the guy that built this bridge designed it and built it. Well, there was two, a father and a son. And I'll get their names wrong. Washington Roebling and John Roebling. John was the father. Washington was the son. And they invented most of the equipment that they had to use to build that bridge. That was quite fascinating. Ken Burns did a documentary on how everything they went through to build that bridge. It was no small undertaking. And this is just a couple more pictures of the span. There's a lot of neat photographs of the I don't know what they call those pillars. There's one of those on each end, and of course they have to always amaze me that they could build that stuff and line them up right and make them meet in the middle. And then the picture on the right is the great celebration when they opened the bridge up, fireworks, and tall ships and all that stuff going by, riverboats, steamships, everything. A little bit of everything down there in the water. And wouldn't it have been terrible if the fireworks somehow had caught fire in the roadbed and it burned off and they'd had to start all over again? That picture said it's a bird's eye view of the Great New York and Brooklyn Bridge. The city of New York and the city of Brooklyn, which I always thought was just part of New York, not being wise about how these things work, was actually two separate cities then, and they both helped fund this bridge so they could connect and connecting those riverbanks was a big deal because otherwise everything trade had to go back and forth on ferry boats and all kinds of things. It was a big deal. And guess whose birthday it is today? Mr. Tolkien. Our Tolkien's birthday today. And I'm not even going to pronounce his second middle name, Ronald Reuel Tolkien, and Tolkien, ever how people want to say it. I've heard it so many different ways now.
Well, he said Token.
He said what?
Token.
He
didn't do the Tolkien that they seem to be.
Okay, well I can do Tolkien. I thought one of his ancestors or somebody was the one that said no, it should be Tolkien. Maybe that was just them trying to be uppity. I don't know. Anyway, we know him as he did The Hobbit and The Lord of the Rings and some other things, and I got a new book for Christmas, which I don't guess I've got it up here. It's still down at the house. It was the Silmarillion, which I've never read. And I didn't know this. You probably did. You probably read it. I didn't. That was actually taken from his notes. All the stuff that he wrote down over the years to build his stories about Middle Earth and all that stuff. What he wrote down, and it was his children apparently took those notes and put that together into the volume of the Silmarillion. Did you know that?
Yeah, I think his oldest son did that. Christopher.
Maybe.
It was the whole history of Middle Earth, basically, and from day one to whenever.
Well, and I haven't read it yet, but I did know some of this was in there. I mean, the story of these notes contained everything from the languages he invented for the different types of people, Elven or Dwarfish or whatever. He had all that. He invented all that stuff, and that's why I can't pronounce all them names. Hey, I see Jennifer Caruso in the chat. Good morning, Jennifer, and welcome. And we've talked a little bit about this before, and I just broke a nail. A lot of this came during World War I when he was at the Battle of the Somme, and which we're lucky, I guess, he even survived that because lots of Brits didn't. A lot of people didn't survive that battle, and I didn't know this either, but he had to be taken out. He and some of the other officers because of where they were. What do you call it when you're in barracks or you're where he was stationed anyway, along in the trenches? Their group got infested by some kind of lice and they got diseased, and they had to actually remove them take them back to England to cure them. They got some kind of blood disease apparently, and I didn't realize that.
Lovely.
Yeah, but I mean, it sounds terrible. But then again, he did. I don't think he had to go because of that. I don't think he had to go back in. He signed up when the war first started. Brits of his, I guess, class and structure and of society were all signing up to go. And of course they were coming back in boxes by the boatload. And he didn't sign up immediately, and he caught a lot of hell for that and a lot of ridicule from his family, from lots of people. But he wanted to finish school because he knew if he didn't, he probably never would get to. So, but as soon as he finished school, he signed up and got a commission as a first or second lieutenant, I believe. Yeah, second lieutenant. And
He was a butter bar
A
in the
butter bar.
cavalry.
do they use the same designations as we do?
No,
Yeah, I didn't think so.
that's how we would look
But
at it.
yeah, I know. Actually, I think you and your dad or somebody's first person I ever heard say butter bar. But I get that. I get that. These two books I've got on this page are the original covers for The Hobbit, which he drew. He did the art for that, and the Lord of the Rings, and Pauline Baines did that. But that's the cover from the first version of the Lord of the Rings. And when he apparently that one first came out, I didn't know this either. That was a 1-volume thing, and I guess he came along and added more to it after. I can't imagine how that would have been the end of it. I mean, there was so much left to do, unless it was bigger and different than what I'm thinking. Maybe all 3 books were in there and it just condensed or something. I don't know. But so much of what's in there came off of the battlefield, and the things he saw and was involved in, and the horror and the carnage. And you think about some of the, even in the movies, and the people, the creatures, and I kind of get that now. That makes a little more sense that would have affected somebody in that way. And I didn't realize this either. He only passed away in the 70s. I think it was in 73 or something.
There's a lot of video footage of him.
That's great. I mean, that's just really good. And then his wife Edith, I believe her name was Edith. She lived about the same age, I believe. He said leaving her and going to war was the worst thing because he honestly believed he'd never come back. He said, and they gave some figures in one of the stories I was reading, that the percentage of officers who were going over there that weren't coming back was really high. And at that time, those officers in the British Army were expected to be at the front of the charge, so they got hammered and wiped out quite regularly. Also, in 1924, on this very day, Howard Carter discovered King Tutankhamun's sarcophagus. And that's a pic. I don't have a picture of that, but I do have a picture of the tomb, which I believe was the first intact tomb they'd found of any major pharaoh or king of Egypt up until that point. And he found, and then well, he found part of it in 22, and then they found the sarcophagus, I guess, in 24. I guess that's how it really went. And that's an image of the walls inside the tomb, and that wooden statue was also in there. That's just a couple of pictures I found on Wikipedia, my favorite online encyclopedia. And of course, that's a picture of him himself. And I thought that he died from an infection, and which is what led to part of the rumors, that the Tutankhamun, whoever found it, was jinxed to die. But he didn't. He lived quite a few years after that. I don't know. Maybe some people still thought that's what killed him, but he didn't die right away like they always say in the movies. Yes, Tina, I don't see chat, but yes, he invented the whole world, and back to Tolkien, he invented that whole everything, and it's fascinating. I mean, I'd like to think I can come up with those kinds of stories, but I don't know if I could ever do the detail. the detail that he went to and created and invented is just fascinating. And it took him quite a while to do it, but look what we got for it. I mean, it is amazing. Okay, now, and let me do this a different way. I can do it like this. Something else that happened on January the 3rd in our history. 1938, Franklin D. Roosevelt established the National Foundation of Infantile Paralysis, which became known as the March of Dimes. And I know some of us in here can remember when this was a big deal. And I don't know if everybody can, but I can remember getting these little, not a folder, little card, and you put a dime in the card in the slots for every day or once a week or something. I can't remember. And that's how people collected them. And that picture there in the lower right is FDR's personal secretary in that time period, Missy. Her name was Missy Lahand, and they got 30,000 letters that had 10-cent pieces in them. I mean, that's literally how it became known as the March of Dimes. And she's sitting there going through each one of those envelopes to get the dimes out to put them in the. But that would have been quite a bit of money in dimes back then. 30,000 letters, 30,000 dimes. What is that? Well, that $3,000. I have to do the math. Math's hard right now. I ain't slept enough. But anyway, that's what that turned into, and the two, FDR and a gentleman by the name of Basil O'Connor, created that whole thing, and that picture showing them sitting there counting a sack full of dimes that were collected. I'm sure that was staged for the camera, but I have a feeling that picture of Miss Lahand down there pulling out dimes and envelopes, I suspect that was real, and she was working. I don't see anybody else helping her, but she was doing it. And that was a big deal. I remember a lot about that. And from that, Jonas Salk, the money got from this was what allowed Jonas Salk to explore, invent, and create the what's the word? Polio vaccine. That a lot of us, when I was a kid, I stood in line to take it. They gave us a sugar cube. They squirted this red vaccine on the sugar cube, and they gave us a sugar cube in a little paper cup. And I think I stood in line down the old Mark in Jonesboro. The first one I remember doing was at Jonesboro, what was then Jonesboro High School, which was the old. You might have gone there. I don't know if you went there.
Middle school.
Yeah, and that's where we went I think in the gym. And I actually remember standing outside down the road or down to the highway in that line when we took that vaccine the first time that I remember taking it. And the last time I remember taking a polio vaccine was the year I went off to college in Florida, because they were still requiring you to have that to get in as a college admission thing. Yeah, that vaccine changed the world now. And then let's see here. Then also on this day, Greg, Pappy Boynton was shot down in the Pacific and captured by a Japanese submarine and held as a POW until the end of the war for a year and a half. I didn't realize that. I knew he got shot down a few times, but I thought he escaped and got back. And I guess I just saw too much TV and movies, and not read the real history of it. But all the fighting he had done. I mean, he started in China. He flew with the Flying Tigers in China, and then once America joined the war, he came back and got recommissioned in the U.S. Navy military. And
Marine Corps.
Flew Corsairs, huh?
He was a Marine.
He was a Marine Corps. but they listed him as a naval aviator. Well, I guess it'd still be a Marine Corps aviator, wouldn't he? I thought I read somewhere they classified him as a naval aviator, but he would have been a Marine aviator. I'm sure. I'm sure he thought that. And that picture is an original picture, and they had it mislabeled for years. In the movies, he was part of VMF 214, and everybody thought this picture was that group, but it wasn't. This was actually VMF 122, and you can tell that when you blow that photo up. The life vests are labeled. That's they had a stencil that told what unit they belonged to. Now he did eventually go on to fly command VMF 214, and that was the group known as the Black Sheep, which Black Sheep, the show, which was maybe long on story and short on some factual truth. That they were real, and they really fought together, and they flew Corsairs. And now in China, he flew P-40 Warhawks, which was an airplane that's so famous for having the big shark mouth during World War II. Oh, here's somebody shooting a Christmas gun, probably. The day he got shot down, he was outnumbered. He was involved in a dogfight with a bunch of Japanese Zeros, and he shot down a couple of them, or at least one of them. That's confirmed. But then they got him, and he was picked up by the submarine, and then they held captive. I just wonder if they knew who they had. Because he was one of those kind of guys that was sort of like the Red Baron in World War One. Everybody knew who he was after a while, and they were always gunning for him. And Pappy Boyington was a multi-time ace, I believe. I'm not sure what his total shoot down number was, but it was pretty high. And on this very day, in the year of my birth, 1957, the Hamilton Watch Company introduced the first electric watch. Now, technically, the first electric watch was made in 1952, but they didn't start selling them or producing them. They had figured out the concept, but then Hamilton Elgin National Watch Company under the name Hamilton, which I have a railroad watch named Hamilton. In fact, that says Hamilton Railroad Special. I wonder if it really was. Anyway, an electric watch, of course, was a battery-powered watch. And then later on, they invented electric watches that had a tuning fork or a quasar crystal. There were several different ways they did that, but they originally had a battery in them. And that's an example of the very first one. Now we think about watches, if you even carry one, they're all electric. I don't know if anybody really carries a wind-up watch anymore unless you carry a pocket watch like I do sometimes. Let's see. Let's see if there's any facts here I'm missing. Laboratory example. Oh, they built laboratory examples of it, so they proved concept. But then Elgin Hamilton produced the first one and sold it to put it out on the market in 1957. And that was. Then Quartz came along by Seiko and kind of took over from that whole market. They were supposed to be more accurate, but the electric, I wouldn't have called it an electric watch, but they called it an electric watch. I guess it is. Also on this date in 1959, Alaska, the Alaska Statehood Act was passed or enacted and or introduced or whatever, but that's what they give that is this date when Alaska became a state. And I think they've got the coolest flag. That's why I put that in there. That's, of course, the Pope, the North Star, Polaris, and the Big Dipper, Ursa Major. Ursa Major. And which I'm going to have tattooed on my arm one of these days. And my daughter's going to have the little one. Anyway, and I think they got one of the coolest steak quarters of any of them. I just love that big old grizzly bear with the big old salmon in his mouth. That was 2008, and that was a proof. They said that was a proof one. I don't know if they actually put that one out or not. I don't have them all, so I don't know. John says, I wish they did a movie on Robin Olds, one of the most decorated fighter pilots ever in World War II. Did World War II, Korea, and Vietnam. Triple Ace awarded the Air Medal 30 plus times. Wow. Did you know that, gentleman, John? Yeah, I've never heard of him either, but I'm going to write that down. I may have to look into that. We may talk about him someday. Robin Olds. Bear with me a second. So not to get the whole story, John, or to beat you to death with it, but how do you know of him, or where did you learn of him, or is that just something everybody should know, but most of us don't? It does sound like most of us should know. That's fascinating. I had an uncle that served in 2 of those wars and tried to serve in the 3rd one, and they said, no, I think we're going to let the young men fight this one. You go back home, we'll call you if we need you, kind of thing. I don't know how old he would have been when he tried to sign up, but he volunteered for World War II, fought in the Battle of the Bulge, went to Korea, not 100% sure, but possibly was at Chosen Lake on the other side with the Army, and then went to sign up for Vietnam when it started. And they said they decided they didn't need him at that time. He was a little older by that point, and they thanked him for his service and all that, but sent him away. But he would have probably gone for that too. He lived in Steamboat Springs and was a big name in there. I guess he would be in the Air Force. That makes sense. It's funny that they don't seem to have ever talked about him. I'm going to look into that. You'll hear more about him. Tune into this channel again. We'll talk about Robin Olds a little bit if I can find out, if I can get the information. We'll do that, John. Thanks for telling us about that. So anyway, I like the flag and I like the coin, so I included that one amongst all the things. Now the next one is a little different, and it's on a little different line, but it was something that happened during my lifetime, and it made an impression on me because I still remember it like it was yesterday. And I know exactly where I was when it happened. It's one of those kind of things that's stuck in your memory. But on 1967, on January 3rd, Jack Ruby, the guy who shot Lee Harvey Oswald, died in Dallas, Texas. Now, he went to prison for killing Oswald, but he got another trial, and he was waiting his second trial when he actually died of cancer, or he got an embolism, aortic embolism, I think they call it. And that's what killed him. He didn't make it to the last trial. He'd been sentenced to death, I think, the first time. But anyway, what I remember about that was the actual day it happened, which was November 24th, 1963, when he walked up and shot Lee Harvey Oswald. And what I remember is I was sitting there with my mother watching the news. I think we may have still been out of school after the Kennedy assassination. And he ran out there and stepped up there, and I told my mom, I said, he's going to shoot him. And he did. And I don't know if I saw the gun in his hand or what, but something about the way he moved and what he did, I said, I believe he's going to shoot him. And he did. And I was only 6, 7, 63, I would have been 6, going on 7. But that has stuck in my mind. I'll never forget it. And maybe I saw it rerun so many times at that period. That's why it stuck. But anyway, Jack Ruby, I always kind of wondered. I never really remembered what happened to Jack Ruby. And now I know he died. And that photograph taken by Jack Beers is probably one of the most famous photographs of our time. Anyway, that was a little bit morbid, not a happy subject at all, but it was just something that it was related to today, and it clicked something in my head, so I thought, I'm going to do it. Also on this day in 1999, NASA launched the Mars Polar Lander, aka the Mars Surveyor, in 98. And the primary objectives were for the mission to land on the layered terrain in the south polar region of Mars. They were hoping to find ice and water and that sort of thing. Search for evidence related to ancient climates and more recent periodic climate change. This was in 99. Give a picture of the current climate and seasonal change at high altitudes, and in particular, the exchange of water vapor between the atmosphere and the ground. We were trying to figure out what kind of atmosphere Mars had in case we got to go there. And then they were wanting to search for near surface ground ice. Again, that's looking for water in the polar regions, and analyze the soil for physical and chemically bound carbon dioxide and water and that sort of thing, so-called building blocks. And again, things that build atmosphere. And to just study the surface morphology, forms and structures, geography, topography, and weather at the landing site. Unfortunately, we didn't get a lot of that. It crashed on landing, and so we didn't really get what we wanted. It went to the right place. It just, something failed in the re-entry rockets or the parachute or whatever kind of system they'd invented to land on Mars, and they think that's what happened. It got there, and then it quit working. So, I don't know, maybe someday they'll go pick that one up when they're on Mars and they got a tow truck or something. They'll go, a recovery vehicle, they'll pick that one up. But I thought that was kind of sad. I didn't realize it had crashed until I got all the way through the story. And then I'm like, oh, man, I thought this was going to be something really big. But we've since done it and landed things down there and we up there, and we figured out a lot. And speaking of astronomical that's the right word? Yeah, I think it is. Objects in the sky. I think right now most of us should be able to see Jupiter, and I think Mars on the eastern horizon. Well, depending on what time you're looking. Last night I could just barely see, I believe, Jupiter, and we were starting to get overcast a little bit, and the moon was full or nearly full, but it was hazy. But I could still see it pretty good, but I couldn't pick out all the stars. Maybe tonight or one night this weekend it'll clear back up. I'm not sure how long. I should have looked that up. I'm not sure how long how long they're supposed to be visible. You know what? I don't know who said it looks like a bug. You know what? I've got more pictures of it, and I didn't put them on there. Hang on just a minute. I'm going to close this out now. Just close this screen and close this off. I did get some more pictures. Let me see if I can pull a couple of those up because it did kind of look like a bug. They actually had a couple of pictures of it as it actually looked. That's obviously an artist's conception, but the drawings of it, won't open, would have looked like this. This is some of the, not real technical drawings, but this is what it would have looked like when it unfolded. It had solar screens, and oh wow, that's hot. It's because I got it open in Photoshop. Here's a little scoop to dig up soil, and they've got radar and all kinds of other devices to, collect data and do all kinds of things. There's a what they call submast. Again, it's for collecting things. Propellant tank. That was for the landing part. That's probably what failed. And then also, there's also this photo of it. I think I can make this work. Dang it. There. Look at all that shiny foil. That was to reflect, all kinds of. You wouldn't think something so fragile could go into space, but since there's no atmosphere, we don't. Thin foil covers and stuff, and mylar and all those. That's where a lot of those things were invented. You can use them as reflectors, and you don't have to be too strong unless you're in some kind of an asteroid field or getting shot by all kinds of gamma rays or something. But anyway, that's what it looks like. They were folding it up here and putting it inside its capsule. I thought that was neat. Being a gearhead, I find that kind of fascinating. I went to a museum, a space museum out in, of all places, the middle of Kansas, and it just so in Hutchington, Hutch, Kansas. It's not too far from Wichita, and one of the astronauts was from there who went to the moon. So they built a museum there to honor him, and they had one of the few remaining models of the lunar lander there. And one of the things I remember about it was it had lots of that gold looking paper on it, foil. Of course, you couldn't touch it. We had to stand and look at it from outside arm's reach, because they knew people like me would want to touch things. I have to get my hand slapped for wanting to touch all the time. So, I'm the kid that breaks something because he wants to look at it closer. But anyway, that launched on this date, and so I thought that was kind of cool. And that is the last of my slides, and it is 11:30. So now, no, I don't want to save that. I want that to go away. I want that to go away. And now here we are. Now, what all? Hutchinson, Kansas. Thank you, Tina. Your brother was born there. Oh, interesting. Is there a military base there, Tina? I mean, I'm sure there's one out there nearby somewhere. Chuck says batteries not included. Maybe that's why maybe that's what they forgot to do with that polar lander. We haven't seen anything but clouds in what seems like a month. Oh, yeah, I know you guys have had some rough weather up that way. He lived in Steamboat Springs and was. Oh, okay. I'm still getting John's stuff, or still seeing things. I'll look that up, John. Thank you. Oh, anyway, so you got any big rat? Are you muskratting this weekend?
No, it's the river conditions are bad.
Did it ever freeze over?
There's ice, but not enough, and
just enough to not be good.
Yep, dangerous.
Yeah. You know how many they managed to collect so far?
I didn't keep.
I have a question for you. I need to pick your brain, probably in an off camera kind of thing for one day soon, but I will talk about it. Just I will say it, and then you can tell me if you've heard of it. Yeah, there's that young gentleman that's got the dogs that I've talked to you about, the Dixie Dingoes and that Southern dog that he's got. He called me up the other day, and when he and his mom called me, they're both so enthusiastic and so. And he's really a smart kid, and but his mind's going about 1,000,000 miles an hour. So he's always trying to tell me 100 things at once sometimes, and so I have to try to keep up with him. But he's been working on a project of his own, and maybe with some. Well, he's working with a professor, but one of the reasons he was doing these dogs was they were trying to teach them to be riders, and he started working on this idea of a eco-friendly way to get rid of rats on large farms and places where rats are a big problem because of feed and all that stuff that attracts rats, and like they have an awful time. All the farmers around here that raise hogs and stuff usually have lots of rat problems because they're just always into the feed. And he has been working with a lady in Scotland who raises ferrets, and over there they use ferrets to go down in the rat tunnels and run the rats out, and then the rat terriers grab the rats and do them in, and they kind of do it in a team. Well, nobody's doing that over here. I'm not even sure what states it's legal to hunt with ferrets in this country. Yeah, there are some, but I don't know how many. I don't think it is in Tennessee. But I mean, that all could change.
For rats?
To kill rats. Instead of poison, instead of you, he's trying to figure out a way to do it instead of everybody just.
I would think poison. That would be banned anywhere, but
well, you wouldn't think it would be. I'm sure the dog part isn't, but the ferrets might be. I know it's illegal in Tennessee to hunt with ferrets, and they don't say hunt what. I'd have to look that up again, but anyway, he's talking to this lady in Scotland who's raising these. They calls them some kind of lion mane ferret or something. They're a bit like a bigger ferret, but they're maybe a little more aggressive, and that's what they use them for. But she was telling him that some of these bigger brown rats sometimes can kill the ferret. They're strong enough. If they get a hold of them, they can crush their skull, which amazed me because you know how strong mustelids are. And if the ferret gets them first, they'd do the same thing. And she was recommending. She said, I want you to look into this. Apparently, there's a guy in Idaho near you who is using minks to do the same thing. I've never heard of anybody using mink to do that kind of stuff with.
Well, same build, same creature.
Oh yeah, I know. I just didn't know they'd ever wild mink. I never thought that they'd been that domesticated, for one thing. And there's a guy that lives not too far. Well, I don't know exactly where he lives, but somewhere in Idaho, and he does this. He's working with mink now to prove that they can be used to do that. And so Ross is wanting to see what I can find out about, whether or not you can do it here, if it's legal. If I know him, he asked me if I knew anybody still worked for the state. He's just trying to get information, but I don't know if that's ever going to happen. But apparently they're using farm-raised mink that would have been, farm for fur. And apparently after so many generations, mink actually get tame enough that you can, I don't want to say make them a pet, but you can handle them. They be around people. They're not so aggressive. And you can train them to be ratters or to be, to hunt. And I'd never heard of anybody using mink for that. That was new one on me. Didn't have any joint bases back then, did they? Oh, we're still talking Air Force and Army. No, Navy and Air Force. Oh, her dad switched from the Navy to the Air Force. I used to work with a guy that switched from the Marines to the Air Force. He'd been in the Marines 10 or so years, and he switched over to, he was an aircraft mechanic, so I don't know, that probably made sense in some ways. Anyway, I didn't know if you'd ever heard of that or not. This guy that's raising them out there and hunting with them, he said he doesn't want to sell them to people who want a mink for a pet, because he says they'll bite the crap out of them, and even the ones that are somewhat tame and can be handled, if you don't handle them right, you could lose a finger, or they could. And I can imagine, because they got a serious mouthful of teeth, and as I was saying a minute ago, Mustelids all have really strong jaw muscles, so I'm sure they can bite hard, which would be, probably pretty deadly when it comes to hunting invasive rats. But his whole purpose is to try to make it be more eco-friendly and get people to stop using so much poison. Because I guess they've had some problems with, he knows pig farmers that they work with that have rat problems and have had that problem, and then, the dog or the cat or somebody eats the rat and then they get sick and die. And all the stuff that goes along. And poison is so indiscriminate. I guess it's been used effectively. I'm just not sure how efficient it really is. I've never been a big fan. Let's just put it that way. But I don't know if he'll ever get there with minks. But who knows? Apparently, hunting with ferrets is still big in certain parts of Europe. I didn't know that. They rat with them, I guess, a lot in Eastern Europe, Hungary and Romania, and some of those countries, or some of those areas. The Czech Republic. That's where this lady gets her breeding stock usually. Bing. Anyhow, my brother. So what you say you're heading out to do something here in a little bit?
I'm going to look for dogs right now.
Oh, that's right.
Sorry, I haven't been present. I've been trying to look for dogs. So.
Well, then don't let me keep you if you need to get out and go do that, because we're just going to BS for a few more minutes, then I'm going to shut her down probably.
Well, I'm going to take this opportunity to bail then.
Okay, well, go get your dogs. That's important. And I know they like to go walkabout, so have a good one. I'll talk to you in a day or two.
See you, everybody.
See you, buddy. I'll take you out. There you go. He's gone. So anyway, guys, Tim, I just posted a video of our pair of bigwood. Oh yeah, cool. I'll look for that. On what you posted on, Tina? Instagram or Facebook or? Hope you get them safely home. He'll probably find them, but it worries him because, to get from his house to town, they have to cross the railroad tracks, and he's lost several dogs on those railroad tracks already. Just every once in a while, one will be. The trains, when they're running there, are going pretty fast. They don't slow down for much. They usually kill a bunch of deer and some antelope just in the neighborhood of his house, because they're all in that area. And during the winter, this usually happens in the winter, when there is snow on the ground, the railroad's clear, or at least it's clear enough that animals can walk through there easier than they can through the snow. So they tend to get in those corridors along highways too, and they'll get in the train corridor. And when a train comes roaring through there up around the corner, they can't stop for an antelope, and sometimes he's had to go remove or dispatch wounded animals 20 or 30 at a time. It kills him. He hates that. So that could happen for a dog. Yeah, it's not that they don't slow down. They can't slow down. And not like that anyway. And so he worries about that a lot. And you don't necessarily want them in town anyway, but they're good dogs. They just like to go walk about. And it's that one dog. He said is Gigi, his bird dog, his Vizsla that tends to do it, which I would have thought she wouldn't. I mean, but who knows? Maybe she's hunting. She's supposed to be a bird dog. I don't think she's ever panned out that way, but yeah, that trains. It's got a couple of his good dogs, and it just, man, you guys know how that is. Or maybe you've never had one hit by a train or a car, but it's heartbreaking. Let's just face it, it's bad. So hopefully he'll probably take Caitlin with him, or maybe Sean is going with him. I don't know. I'd say they'll go pick them up. They usually find them okay. They're usually just walking downtown or something. Kind of strange, but maybe they're looking for stray cats in town. And you guys know I'm not picking on cats. just saying. Oh, I gotta look for that video. What did you say they were on, Tina? Or did you? I'll find it. Speaking of videos and things, I was watching probably Resort TV One, but a couple other people, but them in particular this week, and it has. I don't know if they've changed something or if they've just if it's just me suddenly seeing better, but man, their videos have just and again, not just theirs, but other people's too, have become so crystal clear on the TV. And okay, thank you, Tina. I'll get it. And such great definition, like for fireworks and things. I was watching something last night or night before this past week, and I thought, wow, when did this get this much better? I mean, it's been good, and some of them have been really good, but it just seems like now it's just gone to a whole nother level of clarity. I don't know. Maybe that's just all in my head. Maybe it's like I said. Maybe my eyes are focused better or something. But I don't know if anybody else has noticed that or not. But it's just amazing. I love pileated woodpeckers. Pileated, whatever. I hear me in the background. That's interesting the way they're dancing around that tree. It's almost like they both want to use it, but neither one of them wants the other one to have it. One of the coolest things I ever saw, Tina, with woodpeckers was we were up in Phil and I we had a Wednesday off or a Tuesday middle of the week day we were off or something. I might have still been in school and or back in school. And we went up into the Smokies, and we were in the Cage Cove area of Smoky Mountain National Park. And I noticed something. We got to watching, and there were two adult pileated woodpeckers. Excuse me. I'm sorry. That snuck up on me. Two pileated woodpeckers, adults, and two juveniles about half the size of the adults on the ground. What I think had happened was that the two juveniles had probably come out of the nest. They were just starting to fly, but they were still staying kind of low. And the adults were sort of watching out for them and still feeding them. They'd hop up on a tree. I mean, when I say on a tree, I'm talking a foot or two off the ground. They didn't get any higher than that at that time. And the adults would feed them, and then fly off to get something else, and the young ones would squall just like they would if they were still in the nest, and they'd bring them back down. And these 4 birds just danced around the base of those trees there for, I don't know, half an hour. And it was just the neatest thing. And it was kind of like those on that tree, except they were doing something different. And yeah, maybe they were showing them how to hunt bugs. That's very possible is what was going on, but it was neat. Are you finding anything, George? No, Harriet. Shh. Yeah, that could have been it too. Because those two were busy. It was just funny. It's almost like they were, watching each other. And they're neat birds. They're so cool. And that's the size of the ghost bird, they call it, the ivory bill woodpecker, that everybody, a lot of people, maybe including me, I don't know, aren't sure they're still around. They're pretty sure they're gone. But we all hope they're going to find them still, and somebody's going to prove it, and we can, somehow bring them back from the brink. But they're like a pileated, but they're actually a little bit bigger than a pileated, which is one of the things that, besides a great loss of habitat in the south central United States, where the great bottomland hardwoods existed at one time, country folk hunted them just like other birds, and they cooked them and they ate them. They called them chicken of the woods, or woods chickens, and so that didn't help too much either. So, but because they were like I said, they were a pretty good sized bird, and the pileateds are pretty good sized too. When you get up close to them and see them, they're compared to you see downies and hairy woodpeckers. We see them all. We have them all the time on our feeders, especially the suet feeders, and then we'll get every once in a while we'll get a flicker or something, or a sapsucker, and then or a red-bellied woodpecker, I should say, and they're twice the size or better of a downy, and you think, wow, that's kind of a big bird, and then you see a pileated, and they're like 2-3 times the size even of the blue red-bellied woodpecker or a flicker, and it's just, man, they're just neat. They're cool birds. I like to watch them fly through the woods. They just sort of float and glide. They just every once in a while take a beat and swoop, and they're just neat. They're just cool birds. And boy, they sure can make a man. They can make a hole in a tree in just no time. You used to hear them a lot. You'd be out sitting in the woods if you were hunting or something, being real quiet, and they'd start drumming off in the distance. And I never have figured out how in the heck they don't keep beating their brains out, against the tree, because they sure do hit them hard. I've had one in a tree above me and just throwing sawdust and chunks of wood all over the place, showering me and that stuff. But I've had squirrels throw nuts at me before too. For some reason, I don't know what make a squirrel throw a nut at me, but I hope so. I love woodpeckers. I could watch them all day. We have at least 3 species here. Yeah, we do too. Probably at least 3 usually. This is the first time I've seen 2 pileated at once, but yes, huge compared to the others. Yes, they are. And I have seen them on a suet feeder, but most of the time they don't get on feeders much. I mean, they eat bugs and they eat that sort of stuff. Most woodpeckers will eat suet. Of course, other birds will too, especially this time of year, because it helps them survive. They get more heat, more fuel in their body from suet, from fat. That's the bottom line. But and there's not as many bugs out this time of year. It's a little cold for bugs right now, especially up where you're at. I'm almost surprised they haven't moved to a slightly warmer climate for the winter. Do you see them there, Tina, most of the year? Because they will kind of hang out in a given area part of the time, but they do move around when it gets cold. Huh. Okay. Oh, they come to your suet feeders. Cool. Good. And then if they come to your suet feeders, they're going to check out your trees too. Oh me. Anybody got any big plans for the rest of the weekend? I guess everybody's that's not retired, at least, is starting to wind down now for their holidays. Is about over. I'm trying to decide if I'm going to take my tree down before next Saturday or if I'm just going to leave it up for another week or two. You know, the 12 days of Christmas aren't over yet. I feel like I should leave it up at least until the end of that. I'm all stopped up now. I just noticed my door's not shut either. Is Carol still in here, or Tina? Anybody that watches football? Anybody know if is there a college game today? I think there's one anyway. But I know there's pro games on TV, which I don't usually watch, so I don't know what else is going on. Do you know if anybody's playing football today, Carol? I mean, basketball's getting all fired up, and it's just everywhere right now, and that just drives me nuts because I don't, as a rule, I just don't sit and watch basketball. It never has been my favorite game to play, and I just never have cared anything about watching it. If it's a tournament and they're doing something, exciting, or I'm with somebody that really likes the game, then I can sit and watch it, or I can go with them to watch a live game. But I just don't get excited about it much, especially pro basketball. I have no use for that. But other than that, I don't think I've got any real plans. Hopefully Brenda's going to start feeling better. She may want to get out of the house, which would be good. I do know we got to run and pick up a prescription or two. At least I'm pretty sure we do. I think she told me something was ready to pick up. I went to get it yesterday. Wasn't there. They didn't bother to tell us. We thought it was. And then they said, oh, no, it's not. There's a delay. It'll be tomorrow. They didn't tell me that till I was already on my way to town. Little Christmas. Now, what do you mean by that, Tina? Is that something I should know and I'm showing ignorance by not knowing? Alexa says, no college football today. Dang, Alexa. I was afraid that was the case. I know there's 3 games left at least in college ball, and that may be it. 2 more playoff games and then the final. And that'll all happen over the next couple of weeks. 3 weeks, I guess. Hope they don't drag it out too far. I'm ready to watch more hockey. Oh, excuse me. I'd like to be. I tried to watch a game yesterday. Made me so mad. Nashville was playing St. Louis. At St. Louis. So many hundred miles away from me. And when I tried to watch the game, they said it was blacked out in my area. It just made me so mad. I just can't seem to catch Nashville games here at my house. It's on channel. It's on either stuff I'm not paying for or not want to pay for because I feel like I've got enough stuff. I ought to be able to watch them on TV. And I just can't seem to catch a Preds game. And they've been playing better, which is why I'm really upset. They'd won. I don't know where they're at right now, but right before Christmas, I watched them. I did get to see a game. And the Preds had won like 10 out of their last 14 games, and that's a streak for them. They hadn't played that good in a couple of years. And they've worked their way from the bottom of the pack to within a couple of points of at least the wild card spot. So I was excited about that, but So the pro games should be their playoff games, John. It might be. I might watch that then. That might be good. I don't really dislike pro football. I just most of the players that I was rooting for and liked to follow and all kind of retired and moved on, and I just hadn't really picked up anything new since then. So I hadn't been watching a lot of pro ball. But I mean, let's face it, might as well say college is pro now that they've got the NIL and all that. I'm not sure how I feel about all that. Oh, okay. So they've not started playoffs. I hear them talk about playoffs, and I guess that's what you're saying. Their implications are there. Some of them are going to make it, some of them are not. And I thought they'd already started. So this is week 18. Wow, I can remember when they only played like 10 or 12 games, and then they went into playoffs. That's been a while back. Then again, there weren't that many teams back then either. Chuck, I bet you remember. John, you may too, and I don't because I watch hockey. I'm skipping to hockey again. Do you remember watching games when there was only 6 teams in the NHL? The original 6 or whatever they call them. I mean, I'm sure I watched games a little bit. We didn't get to see them a lot down here until more recent history, but they must have played each other a lot. I can't remember, John. Were the Devils one of the original 6? Pittsburgh was, I think. Or was it Philly? I know Boston, Toronto, Montreal, or the Canadiens. At least one of the New York teams, maybe both. 1967 was the last year. Okay. 1967, I was 10. I doubt we were seeing it on TV down here then. But I started tuning in the radio and listening to games somewhere not too long after that, probably. Because I was listening to I could tune in St. Louis on my radio then that we had, and at night, and I could listen to the Blues play, and that's how I got interested. That's how I got interested in hockey. But nobody played it down here then. There were no teams down here, and I remember it was on TV just for a little while. There'd be a game or two on, maybe in the weekends, and little bitty black and white TVs, and no, you couldn't see what was going on. I think that was part of the reason it didn't catch on. Now it's different. Now with big screen, high definition TVs, you can see the puck. You can watch hockey. You can tell what's going on. And I think that's made all the difference in the world. New York, Boston, Montreal, Toronto, Detroit, and Chicago. Okay. So neither one of the Philadelphia, neither one of the Pennsylvania teams were in that. I thought one of them was. I couldn't remember which one. I thought it was Philly, actually, but so they weren't. So they were part of the expansion time frame. Gotcha. Well, guys, I'm sure that by now I'm boring everybody to tears because I've run out of something to say. They didn't show hockey on network TV because that's I remember that being talked about too, Tina. And that people used to make fun. I went to watch a fight and the hockey game broke out and that kind of crap. But it's not that bad. Maybe it's not as bad as it used to be. I've heard that yes, it was worse back in the old days of hockey. And I watch games when nobody fights sometimes. So it's not like they fight every time the puck hits the ice. And it's funny how they use fights too. Sometimes they're deliberate. And by that what I mean is they actually kind of use them to get people stirred up, get the blood up, get them back in the game, wake up the team, wake up the fans. And so, I mean, it's kind of used strategically sometimes. No, I don't doubt that a bit, Tina. I'd say you're about right. I have seen a lot of fights in basketball. No helmets and face masks back then. Lots of blood. That's true, John. I've thought about that a lot. You look at goalies today, and they are so covered up. They've got so much protection. Which, don't get me wrong, I wouldn't stand in front of that goal and let people shoot those bricks at me unless I was that covered up. And then you look at a game from 30 years ago, 40 years ago, no, maybe a little bit more than that now, and they didn't even wear face masks. I've seen videos, specials about that, when they start the first guys to wear face masks, and they weren't much punking. I mean, they would maybe kept you from shattering your face, but they would still hurt like crazy. And I can't imagine standing there in that goal with some of those guys like Gordie Howe and some of those other guys swatting that puck at me, and me knowing I got to stand there and take it or block it. Hey, Rhonda, welcome in. Good, glad you made it. Frozen bricks, no less. They had no teeth. No, that's right, no teeth. A lot of them had no teeth. A lot of them still don't, but they really didn't back then. Well, I mean, the players still don't cover up their lower part of their face. The women do, but the men don't. But at least the goalies do, and that helps a lot. But every year there's at least one or two guys that take a puck to the face during the game, and get all kinds of teeth broken and jaws broken and stuff. I mean, it's still a rough game. How's the snow? How's the snow? Yeah, Rhonda, how's the snow? You got snow? And how's the temperature? I'm going to reach over here and close my door while we're sitting here. I didn't know it was still open. Oh, she's jealous of the snow. I think what you're trying to say is you've got no snow and you've got rain, which, just doesn't compare. Be right. My nose is just, I've been stopped up for 2 weeks, but that's all I've had is a stuffy nose. It's been cold, but no snow. Let's see what my weather says. I bet it's at least 55 degrees outside. And it could even be more than that. Stop it. 53. What in the heck? Oh, I've got some Predators news. I'll have to see what's going on. I've been keeping up enough with my text messages and emails. I gotta get back up to speed on that, guys. I'm sorry if I missed something. If you've sent me something via email or text and I missed it, I apologize. It's quite possible. There is a person at your front door. There is a person at your front door. That's the Ring doorbell we've got now. That's probably what's dinging my phone. And again, maybe not. Okay, I think I'm good. It's 53 degrees according to my phone. It was 43 when I came out here. It's 23, and you saw how much snow we have on. Yeah, I did, Tina. You guys got some snow. I think his is about all melted. You talking to me about being like your hubby or Rhonda? 52 where Rhonda's at. Rhonda, I don't even know where you are anymore. You've lost me, or I've lost you. But you moved somewhere where it is colder, didn't you? Again, I was going to see if I was going to go see the monks, but they changed their route. Oh, yeah, the ones that are walking to Washington. I just heard about that yesterday or last night. I was reading about that. All the notifications, and he doesn't read any of them. Yeah, well, that's the way it is, Tina. I get Chuck. I get it. I try to keep up with them, and then sometimes I just can't. And sometimes I don't even know what they are. I mean, it's like it now. Now it's the ringtone or the phone or the doorbell or it's Instagram or it's Facebook. I wish I didn't used to keep up with Facebook, and sometimes I'm thinking I might let's cut it out again because I can't keep up with it. Halfway between Greenville and Atlanta. You mean Greenville, South Carolina? You're getting in a decent part of. Are you still in Georgia? I mean, halfway between Greenville and Atlanta could put you in at least one or two states, maybe one or three. I like Greenville though. I used to there for a couple of years. I've been there a few times, but a few years back they were having a motorcycle show there once a year in the wintertime. It was put on by some of the major motorcycle magazines, and it was in Atlanta, and for some reason they moved out of Atlanta, and they used to have one or two on the West Coast, one or two on the East Coast, and Phil and I would pack up, that week in the winter every year in like January or early February, and we'd go to that and get a good dose of motorcycles. And then they moved it to Greenville, South Carolina, and I liked that drive over there. It wasn't really that far, and we could go over and hang out. And Greenville's kind of a neat little town. That's a good use of bathroom time, Rhonda, I think. Sometimes that's where they need to be. There's the problem, Rhonda. He doesn't bring his phone into the bathroom. Oh, well, please tell me at least takes a good book or something. Tell him he can lose his man card for that. I want to go to Greenville one day. Oh, you haven't been to Greenville? Greenville's got some nice places to eat and some interesting old parts of town that I'm going to guess they probably renovated or rejuvenated, gentrified, perhaps. I don't know if that's really the correct word, but I don't know. I always thought it was a fun place to go visit when we were over there for the bike shows. It's like that with Detroit too, Ron. It was often easier to tell people we were from Detroit instead of the suburbs, but there was a huge difference. Oh yeah. I used to tell people I was from Johnson City, which is nothing compared to Atlanta or Detroit. That's because where I was from, nobody that didn't live here had no idea where I was talking about. But a lot of people knew where Johnson City was or Knoxville. I have even told people I lived, just north of Knoxville because they would know Teddy weighed himself again. What did he weigh? Did you hear it? Yeah, people who lived in Atlanta get picky about that. Yeah, they do. Now, well, you know, people gotta have something to be picky about. ITP versus OTP it's a whole thing. Inside versus outside the perimeter. Kind of like people I've known that lived in the Washington D.C. area. They talk about being inside or outside the Beltway. Nashville's kind of getting that way too. I'm kind of glad we don't live in Nashville anymore. It has grown so much since we left down there. I mean, everything is, but Nashville, you know, when I first moved to Nashville in 1980, when we first moved to Nashville, it was almost like living in an Atlanta. I used to hear people say this about Atlanta too. Not anymore, but it was almost like just sort of you were in a big country town, not a big city. It just because in Nashville, you could be just a few miles from downtown, in the very center of downtown, and be on a horse farm. I mean, it was broken up. The whole area wasn't covered, you know, like urban sprawl hadn't just carpeted everything for miles and miles around like it is now. And so I'd be driving to work up the road from between Murfreesboro and Nashville. And, you know, it would just be most of the time I felt like I was out in the country driving. It was somewhat busy, but not very. Not till you hit, not till you hit Nashville. And then it started getting worse. But it's not like that anymore. You'd be 30 miles outside of Nashville and you feel like you're in town. And I know Atlanta is that way or worse. He was 20.5 pounds today. It was a little bit on the light side. Well, but he's good about that. He holds his weight right in that area. Bless his heart, as big as he is, and he eats. But he's held that 20.5 to 20.8 or 9 pounds for some time now. I'm sure the vet would say he's overweight, but he's a big cat. He's long legged and he's big bodied. He's just big. Aren't you feeding your boy lately? Well, you might think that, Tina, and I could see how you might think that, but he's gotten good about not overeating, I suppose. And I'm gonna tell you right now, it ain't because he exercises a lot, because he don't. His most exercise he gets walking to the litter box or hopping up on the chair to take a nap. He's not out running on a treadmill, or I'd love to get him one of those big wheels, but I don't know if I'd ever get him to do it now. They're too old. I wish we'd started them on that when they were kittens and see if we couldn't. Then maybe he would have gotten good exercise, but he needs a playmate to wrestle with. Well, he's got a playmate, but she don't want to play with him. I miss him up here too, Tina. His sister is about half his size, Rhonda, and she don't play like that. He's too rough for her. So yeah, he needs one that's the same size. He needs a playmate the same size he is, or at least close. But I will say this: Chloe, she may be half his size, and sometimes she likes to act like she's been put on, but she gives as good as she gets. I'll tell you that right now. He just wrestled with Chloe. She didn't like it. See, there you go. There's an example. And when he's not looking, she'll jump on the back of his head and swat him a few times and then run off. Exactly, Brenda. Sneak attacks. I have a sortie Sophie. She's tiny and not afraid of anything, even the vacuum. Yeah, Teddy's getting better about that. They used to be afraid of anything that moved in the house. 2 20-pound black cats run run at a whisper. Torty, not Sorty. Torty, okay. Yes, we did, Brenda, didn't we? I just loved her. She'd get up, she'd crawl up in my lap or up on my arm at night when I'd come home from work, and we'd sit down and watch TV, and she'd just go to sleep and just, lay there all night. She was a sweet baby. Oh, we've had a lot of good cats over the years. The two we got now are probably about as standoffish as any two we've ever had, I think. And Chloe and Teddy's, he's gotten more and more to be a lap cat than Chloe. She's getting more. She's getting better. Sophie climbs all over everything, but she's not a cuddler, really. She prefers to be next to you, but not touched. Well, that's kind of how Chloe is. Oh, he just had a churro. You give him enough churros and he won't be 20.5 anymore. Was Chloe begging for one? Chloe she's addicted to those things, and she has her times a day when she thinks she should have one. Sophie knocked over a TV once and broke it. Oh, that's not good. I don't know if ours have ever broken anything as big as a TV. Our Chloe weighs 9 pounds. Teddy weighs 20.5. And but to see them standing side by side, you never believe they came out of the same litter. I think Chloe thinks she's cute too, Rhonda. She acts like it sometimes. Their personalities, they couldn't be much different. And like I said, they come out of the same litter, and they are so different in every way. Body size, color, which is not unusual, attitude, and I mean, Teddy he's just Teddy. But Chloe, she knows she's a princess. Is Bella one of your black cats? We used to have 3 black cats in our house. I bought Brenda black cat calendars every year for Christmas. And I miss having them. Well, especially the ones we had. We had Spooky, who lived to be 21. He was just the sweetest cat ever. Mouse Man, well, next to Mouse Man or Mousy he might have been one of the sweetest cats I've ever had in my life. My dear husband, do you feel like going to get my medicine today and some saltine crackers? Well, that's cheating. You put that out there in public in front of all my friends and viewers, and they're going to want to know, did I go to the store and get your medicine and your saltine crackers? So, yes, I'll go, honey. I'll go when I get through. I need to get things done. Great chatting there. You too, Carol. I'll talk to you real soon. I got something I want to throw at you. And, yeah, we like black cats too. I mean, I kind of hate. Oh, we've had them with golden eyes and yellow eyes, and I think green eyes. But I like black cats. I just really do. Mouse Man, we called him Mouse Man. His name was Mouse, and maybe even Mickey Mouse when he was a kitten. And I don't even remember who named him, but it might have been the girls. But he was just such a sweet baby. Man, he was a good boy. Belle has 2-toned eyes, gold around the outer half and green in the. Oh, that'd be kind of neat, actually. Anyway, as I said, I was going to let everybody go because I knew I was boring to tears, but and nobody really ran off and left. So, but except Mark. But he had to go chase dogs. And Rhonda, I hate to leave after you got here. I'd hang around another hour if you want to sit around and talk. I don't mind that at all. I feel like I'm leaving, running, leaving company. Hey, that's probably the problem with being old and not having a lot of friends around here, and the kids are not here all the time or not here often. You guys are who I talk to, so. Oh, you have an excuse not to do laundry and stuff? Well, hell, we'll hang in there then. We can do that. Oh. I wouldn't dare want to do something that made somebody have to do work they didn't want to do. I totally get that. Oh, I've got to look into, you guys, well, you won't think I'm nuts. We talk about it all the time. Mark and I do. But I think I'm getting ready to buy my first hunting license to go squirrel hunting. There's another season opens up in the spring, which is new. We didn't used to hunt in the spring, so that's cool. And I'm looking forward to it. I'm going to get my license again, and I'm going to buy a lifetime. I think I'm going to get a lifetime license if I can still get one at my age. And then I'll just have one. And I can go fishing, and I can go hunting, and I can do all that stuff anytime I want to. Then I have an excuse not doing it. Oh, we already said that. Well, by all means, Rhonda, we don't want you to have to do, like I said, I don't want you to have to. I would hate for you to leave saying, well, Tim left, so now I guess I got to do my laundry and stuff. So I wouldn't do that. Tina says, I'm Friedel too, but I think you need to take us on a road trip to get Brenda's medicine and saltines. Well, I could do that. Although it's not much of a road trip. I don't know if I can get all the way to the store or not. I might lose you down there over the hill. But if I did, I did. So, I might do that in a minute. I'm here still listening to meal preparing for my daughter and son-in-law, some lasagna and a few casseroles. Now, is that John, I'm sorry, I don't know. Is that the one that just had the baby? I'm guessing so. I'm setting up my dry erase calendars for January. Oh, that you make that sound like you have lots of them, Rhonda, which makes me feel like maybe I should have lots of them, but don't. I have a hard time keeping up with one. Even on my computer, I don't do a good job. I was doing a whole lot better. I've got a notebook here that I write in that I got a while back, and I finally said, well, why not use that thing? And it's an ideas book, and I've been writing in it, and I was doing a real good job of keeping it up every day and staying up to date and trying to write things I needed to be doing. And then I got slack again. I got mad about something and just said, heck with it. I'm not going to bother anymore. But I need to change that attitude, and I dropped something. Where'd it go? Oh, there it is. Right back there. How the heck did it get back there? This is one of my favorite tools, a 12-inch scale or ruler. That's one left over from my sheet metal days when I used to build parts for airplanes. What kind of casseroles, John? He doesn't cook and she has her hands full. And John loves to cook. I believe that. Someday I'm going to eat some of John's cooking. That's the thing, John. You don't just cook, but you create. You fix good things. I don't have enough ideas to put them in a book every day. Oh, well, maybe that's my problem then, Tina. Maybe I don't have enough ideas to put them in a book. You know what my biggest problem is, though? When I put the ideas in a book, and I do, I mean, I try to at times, then I forget where they're at, and I forget to go back and use them. Mostly chicken and a Salisbury steak. I like both those things. We were going to have, Brenda was going to make homemade chicken pot pie a couple of days ago because she had started feeling better, and then she got sick again. So I'm not sure where that project stands right now. I guess it depends on how she's feeling today. I have a personal notebook and a work notebook and sorting a budget book and starting a budget book to keep track of things. Well, that's good ideas. I used to do better. I need to do better. I've gotten really lazy. My wife would tell you that I've never been good at it, but I used to cook, but living in Atlanta spoiled me. Maybe it did us too. Even just living in Knoxville, we complain all the time because we miss the food. Well, first off, I want to say we ate at home a lot, but there was a lot of grocery stores. We just could get a lot more. We had a lot more variety and choices than we have here. We have one choice. We got two choices, but I don't even like to count one of them because it's my least favorite store to go to in the whole world, I think. And Knoxville had all these good places to go out and eat or call and get it delivered. So, there for a while we went through a streak where it was easy to call and get something delivered and probably about as cheap as buying enough stuff to cook. I understand it, Ron. I have all our appointments on my phone. It turns out you got to look at it. Yeah, but you can make it ding you once in a while, and I do have special things like that, Tina. A special ring tone, and I know what it is, so I pay attention. If I drive, I can hit TJ, but I really miss H Mart. H Mart. I think I know what TJ's is, but what's H Mart? We're having linguine, and clams again, side of mussels, Capri salad. It's tomatoes and mozzarella with balsamic glaze. Ooh, when you say that just right, balsamic glaze, that's as fun to say as Francisco. Rhonda said, we don't have any Korean around here and one Chinese restaurant, which is nasty. We have a Chinese restaurant, which is okay, not great. We have no Korean. And I'm ashamed to say I've never eaten Korean. Always wanted to and never did. But there's several good Korean places in Knoxville. We have the usual, I don't even know what to say, how to call them. What I would consider the lower tier of fast food places to eat that are sometimes good in the pinch, but not something I want to eat every day, and sometimes not even every week. We don't have, like, for example, Chick-fil-A may not be necessarily upper scale or anything, but they have really good salads. And you can go in there and get a big chef salad and make a meal out of it. And while it's not cheap, it's probably no worse than going to the grocery store and chopping up enough stuff to make a big salad that's comparable size and have protein in it and and all that. So we really miss that. Oh, she's talking about doing the pot pie today. Yum. We have Taco Bell and Chick-fil-A, no McDonald's. Oh, see, now I'd trade our McDonald's. And what's the Cajun place? Bojangles. I'd trade our McDonald's, Bojangles, and maybe Pals for just one Chick-fil-A. or even a Wendy's for that matter. Wendy's has pretty good salads. I used to start budget books in January. And by February 1st, everything went out the window. That's probably true. I'm hoping this Taco Bell is good, though. The ones in Atlanta are horrid. We are getting a Culver's is pretty good. Now we used to like to go into Culver's once in a while. They've got some decent stuff. I personally like their frozen custard, especially their concrete mixers. But Brenda doesn't care. Well, Culver's actually has like a fish platter thing. It's got a decent piece of fish on it. They've got chicken sandwiches that were good, as in grilled chicken sandwiches that were good. Everybody's are not. Brenda is she's kind of picky about spices and what they put on things, and I think she liked theirs. Being a refugee centric area, we have all the specialties, including a Bosnian that cooks really good Italian, which is a trick with all the Italian places here. Wow. We just don't have anything. I mean, we just don't. We we truly do. We've truly moved into a food desert, I think. And that's another thing about Knoxville because the university has more of an eclectic. And I used to go. Oh, we had a couple of really good Thai food places in Knoxville. Like I said, I never did try the Korean. I just found a Korean beef recipe that I want to try. Cool. But I like Thai food occasionally, and man, we had a couple of really good Thai places, and some pretty good, Asian / Chinese places. Uh, we had a bunch of Korean places that I didn't get ever around to trying, and should have, and then just some other decent places to eat. I mean, don't laugh, but I'd take a good old Olive Garden any day up here. That'd be just so good. Such a different, we had a guy that opened a boba place, which has been since closed, and it's like it says everyone wants choices, but when they have them, they don't go. Yeah, maybe too many choices. I don't know. I can make all of it, but sourcing it is hard. If Amazing won't ship it. Oh, Amazon won't ship it. Well, that's something we've never bought from Amazon a lot. And that's food things like that, food items. I mean, we bought some stuff, but I know people that order all kinds of things from Amazon or via Amazon or mail order, clams, oysters. Um, Mark and Shawnee used to order something once in a while when they were doing something for dinner, and I was amazed that they could get them and get them, decent. And he said, "Yeah, it's no problem." Some kind of mushrooms, actually. I think he said he bought morel mushrooms online that were really good, from a good place. I can't get Thai basil here at all, even shipped, so I can't make proper poo, foo, however how you say it. So, what is Myanmar food like, Tina? Kind of like Thai, or I mean, it's generally from that same Indian. I mean, is it some mix thereof? Foo. Okay, I thought it was foo. Let's see here. Felt like Thai, but the one time I had it, there was no spice, not much. That's odd. So it's foo, or am I still saying it wrong? Okay. Pho. Helen, pho. Gotcha. Tina, when it comes to spices, Brenda's not much of a spice person, and so she likes things on the milder side. She grew up not eating hardly any kind of seasoning. I grew up eating two, basically salt and black pepper, and I love which I eat too much salt and love black pepper on my food. But I like other kinds of spice. I like spicy stuff at least up to a point, and I don't like crazy hot. I like hot with flavor, and I can eat Thai food up to a certain level, and then I leave it to the locals. Or we used to have an Indian place in Knoxville that had a heat scale. Like one fire, two fire, three fire, four fire, and then you got into the like one fire Indian hot, two fire Indian hot. And apparently that was magnitudes above the other levels. That's according to everything they told me, and I never did try it, so I didn't take a chance on too much of it. But I like hot. I just don't like it stupid hot. Yeah, if I can't taste anything, what's the use of it? I didn't know that. I didn't realize that, Rhonda. Never really thought about it. I'm sure it would be. I just kind of thought Indian food was Indian food. But then again, I've had different kinds of Thai. So I mean, even that's got its variations, and of course, Chinese has got all kinds. I mean, you got Szechuan and those I can't remember anymore. I don't know what's got me whistling that song because I certainly haven't heard that in a while. Oh, crazy, crazy world. Oh my God. Okay, I gotta get off there. I can't look at news right now. China's so big. Yeah, that's it, Tina. Oh, just the news. I won't go there. I don't want to get into it or anything. There's some crazy stuff going on. Anyway. I guess I need to check with Brenda here in a minute and see when she wants me to go to the store. Because that might make a difference on when I shut down. Maybe she's still on here. Oh, there's Rhonda Soapy. I got a picture. Oh wow, those are great eyes. And she got one little white spot on the middle of her chest. That's pretty good though, Rhonda. They're both pretty cats. Well, guys, there is one thing that I can't control or can't delay too much longer. I'm going to have to take a bio break pretty soon. So I'm going to have to either sign or not sign off. I mean, we have to shut down from my side for a few minutes and then come back, and we can keep talking, or sign off and just go to the store and take care of Brenda. So I guess I need to do that. So I think I'll do that. I'm sorry, Rhonda. I would hang around a lot longer, but I need to go do that. So I need to get that taken care of. My luck, they'll close the pharmacy early today for some reason. I won't be able to pick it up. And it's something she doesn't need to go without. So we have done that before, accidentally lost some medicine and had to go without for a few days. Both of us did. And oh my word, I thought it was going to die. It was terrible. It's one of them kind of medicines, even though it's not. I didn't think it was one of those kind of medicines. Anyway, I'm gonna go, guys. I'm gonna cut you loose. So everybody have a great rest of your weekend, whatever you get into. We'll see you next week. Don't know why yet. I'm gonna try to get a good subject. I am gonna study up on Robin Olds and find out what about his flying adventures. Okay. Well, I'm going to have to go for other reasons. Hey, Jay, there's Jason again. I need to take care of some personal business. So anyway, I'm going to go. Thanks, guys, for hanging around. I always just love chatting and talking. And everybody take care. Be safe out there, whatever you get into, the rest of the weekend and next week. And we'll see you again here next week. Nothing happens. Bye-bye.